Hello, beautiful soul. So, this is Anna. I am your self fulfillment and self worth coach. Today, we are going to talk about the negative voice in the head and how we can make peace with it. So, what is this negative voice in the head? This negative voice is also known as the inner critic. It's usually that voice in your mind that's constantly saying things like, you're not good enough, or you can't be successful until you accomplish this thing, or you're just not smart enough, so why bother trying? All of these criticisms that really prevent us from stepping into the self that we wish to become. And so, why does this negative voice happen? Like, where does this come from? Because a lot of times we think that this negative voice is our own. But in actuality, this negative voice is actually the accumulation of all the criticisms that we've internalized growing up. Maybe we internalized it from our caregivers, our parents, or perhaps people who we really looked up to, and then they said something that threw us off in the past. Or maybe it's something that you learned from life, that you won't be successful because you are a certain way, or maybe you just will never succeed because that's just who you are. The messages that we grew up with, that we heard over and over, it's like an audio recording, and that's being looped in our mind over and over. So before I get into how to overcome this negative voice in our head, it is extremely important for us to go over why we have this negative voice in the first place. So, what if I told you that this negative voice was actually here to protect us? I can already hear a lot of you being like, what do you mean, Anna? Like, this voice is so critical towards me. It's so negative. I feel like it's not protecting me at all. And I totally feel you. And let me explain how this is actually protecting us. So as a child, we are born a blank slate. We have no understanding of how life works, and we will look to our caregivers or people that we really admire or look up to for an understanding of how life works. This is where we often will internalize the beliefs of our caregivers or the beliefs of the people we look up to. Let's say, for example, a parent is always telling the kid, if you do not work hard and achieve the best grades, then you will be super unsuccessful and you will fail at everything. And so the kid, whenever they don't do so well, maybe on a test or homework, when they come back from school and their parent gets really upset at them, for that little kid, what they are learning in that moment is that in order for me to be loved by my parents or my caretaker, or to be seen as worthy, that means I must be perfect. I must ace all my tests. I must do well in every single subject. That is how I will be loved. And for a little kid, to be loved is to be safe. I want you to really listen to that again. To be loved is to be safe. And so in this child example, what they learned is to always be perfect no matter what. They always have to be achieving. And so that voice in their head is created in that moment, in all those experiences of, okay, you have to be perfect or else you're not successful. You have to do this in order to be loved. And if they fail, they are super hard on themselves and they go into a state of just feeling so down and so worthless. When in reality, that is simply a program that was ingrained in them when they were little. It is not the truth of who they are. It is not the truth of how worthy they are. But that is how they learned to be loved when they were little, to be worthy. And so we can see how this inner critic is like a younger part of us that is trying its best to allow our older version of us to feel loved, to feel seen, to feel worthy. But the way that it's trying to do it is like a 5-year-old way. And so by seeing it in this way, it allows us to feel a little bit more compassion towards ourselves whenever that negative voice comes up. We can note that, oh, that is a younger part of me that is in its programming of trying to help me feel safe or loved. And I want to leave you with 3 powerful yet very simple ways to kind of make peace with that negative voice whenever it's acting up. So the first one is to tune in and feel, where do you feel that negative voice in your body? Physically take your hand wherever it is in your body. I want you to reach and imagine grabbing it and then pulling it out of you and then putting it in front of you and having a conversation with it. Also, with this technique, it really helps to see that voice that you just pulled out as a younger child. How would you talk to a younger child if they kept on saying, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough, right? How would you respond to a little 5-year-old child? This creates a degree of separation between you and your negative voice and helps you see that, oh, I am not that negative voice. This is just a voice I've internalized. So the second technique is called find the opposite. Our brain will always find supportive evidence for what we believe in. Whenever the negative voice comes up, I want you to find the opposite. So what that could look like is if that negative voice says, oh, you are so socially awkward, then I want you to find proof in the past where you were not socially awkward. And it might take a little bit of time to find some examples, but I want you to really write this down on a piece of paper or on your phone notes and really list out all the ways and times where you did the opposite or you were the opposite of what that negative voice says you are. Whenever we have this evidence, we are able to see like, oh wait, I'm actually not what the negative voice says. That negative voice is simply a fear recording that's been repeated over and over. And so that's also one way to help you ground in evidence that you are not what the negative voice is saying. And the third technique, which is always the most important technique, is compassion. That voice, that negative voice in your head that's always criticizing you, underneath all the criticism is fear. It is a fear of being unloved, a fear of being unworthy. It is just this fear that they will never be good enough for anyone, for themselves even. And so it is super important to try to talk to that negative voice as if it was a friend. How would you respond if your friend told you, I just don't feel good enough, I just am just so dumb and so not beautiful, so worthless? How would you respond to your friend if they came to you with that? Most likely you wouldn't be like, yeah, you are the worst person ever, you are so unlovable, right? No, of course not. So often we are so hard on ourselves, especially when that negative voice comes up. So knowing that this negative voice is simply a younger version of you, or it is the voice of a parent or figure who is also suffering from their own internal criticism, then we're able to see, oh wow, there's a fear underneath that needs to be met with love. Whenever anything is met with love, the fear melts away. And that is something that my own coach taught me, and it has been so healing for me to remember that whenever fear meets love, the fear melts away and becomes love. So I hope this helped. If you would like to dive deeper into how to really unpack and transform this negative voice, I would love to gift you a complimentary session. I would love to support you. It would be an honor. If you found this video helpful and you would like to see more content like this, definitely subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I'll be posting more videos on inner healing, self-healing, and inner child healing, even manifestation work, all that good stuff. Hope to see you again, and thank you for staying with me today. Remember that you are worthy, you are wonderful, and you are so much more important than you could ever know. All right, talk to you later. Bye.